Look at this. Uneven top, dead patches on the sides, and the whole thing is wider at the top than the bottom. This hedge is slowly dying, and the person who trimmed it had no idea they were doing anything wrong. Most homeowners pick up a hedge trimmer, switch it on, and just go for it. No plan, no technique, no idea what they're actually doing to the plant underneath. I've been a professional landscaper for over 10 years. I've trimmed thousands of hedges, and I'm about to give you the 7 things I do on every single job that most people never learn. My name is Jason Roy. I run Green Answers, and hedge care is one of the most common jobs I get called out to, usually to fix someone else's mistakes. In this video, I'm giving you my complete professional checklist. 7 tips, in the exact order I use them on every job. Whether you got a small garden box hedge or a long formal privet boundary, these rules apply to all of them. Let's get into it. Tip 1. Always inspect and clean your blades first. Before I touch a single hedge, I check my blades. Every time, no exceptions. Here's why this matters more than people think. A dirty blade carries bacteria, fungal spores, and disease from the last plant it touched. When you cut into a healthy hedge with contaminated blades, you're not just trimming, you're infecting. And a dull blade? That's even worse. Instead of making a clean cut, it tears and crushes the stems. That torn tissue takes weeks longer to heal, leaves the plant vulnerable, and gives you those brown, dead-looking edges that never seem to green back up. What I do, I wipe the blades down with a cloth and spray them with a blade wash or diluted disinfectant. Then I run my finger carefully along the edge. If it feels rough or nicked, I sharpen before I start. It takes 2 minutes. It saves you a dead hedge. Do it every single time. Tip 2. Trim at the right time of year. Timing is everything with hedges. And this is one of the most common mistakes I see. People trimming whenever they feel like it, usually on a nice sunny weekend in late summer or autumn, which is often the worst possible time. Here's the general rule. For most formal hedges, box, privet, hornbeam, you want to trim twice a year. Once in late spring after the first flush of growth, and once in late summer around August. That keeps the shape tight without stressing the plant going into winter. For flowering hedges, like forsythia or hawthorn, you always trim after they've flowered, not before. If you cut before flowering, you're cutting off the buds, and you'll lose the whole display. And the golden rule, never trim right before or during frost. You're cutting fresh tissue and exposing it to freezing temperatures. That's a recipe for dieback. Know your hedge type, know your calendar, and trim with intention, not just when you happen to have a free afternoon. Tip 3. Use a guide string for a straight line. This is the single biggest thing that separates a professional result from a DIY job, and it costs almost nothing. Here's the truth. The human eye is terrible at cutting straight lines freehand. You think you're going straight. You're not. You drift left, you drift right, you second-guess yourself halfway along, and you overcorrect. And by the end, you've got a wavy top that looks worse than when you started. What I do is set up 2 garden canes at either end of the hedge, tie a string line between them pulled tight, and set it at exactly the height I want the top of the hedge to be. That string is my absolute reference point. I don't guess. I don't eyeball it. I follow the line. Demo. Show the string line setup, then cut along it. The difference is night and day. If you only take one tip from this video, make it this one. String line. Every time. Tip 4. Cut with a slight taper, wider at the base. Most people trim their hedges like a perfect rectangle. Straight sides, flat top, same width top to bottom. And that looks neat at first. But over time, those hedges die from the bottom up. Here's why. When the top is as wide as, or wider than, the base, it blocks sunlight from reaching the lower branches. The bottom of the hedge sits in permanent shade, the leaves thin out, the branches die back, and eventually you've got a bare, leggy base with a green top hat sitting on it. The professional shape is an A-frame. Slightly wider at the bottom, slightly narrower at the top. Even just a gentle taper, a few inches difference, is enough to let light reach every part of the plant. When I'm trimming the sides, I angle my body and the trimmer slightly inward as I go up. After a while, it becomes completely natural. You stop thinking about it. Shape your hedges like a pyramid, not a box. Your bottom growth will thank you for it. Tip 5. Work sides first, then the top, bottom to top. Order of work matters. And most people get this completely backwards. Here's what I see constantly. Someone starts at the top, cuts it flat, clippings fall all over the sides, then they go to trim the sides and the clippings are getting in the way. They're cutting through loose debris and they end up making the sides uneven trying to work around the mess. My order is always this: sides first, starting from the bottom and working upward. Then, once both sides are done, I do the top last. Why bottom to top on the sides? Because clippings fall downward. If you trim the top of the side first and clippings land on the lower section you haven't cut yet, they sit on the foliage and hide where you've already been. You end up double cutting some areas and missing others. Side bottom to top, then top. That's the sequence. Clean, efficient, no mess interfering with your work. Tip 6. Never remove more than 1/3 at a time. This is the rule that most people break the moment they've got an overgrown hedge and just want it sorted. I completely understand the temptation. The hedge is massive. You want it back to shape, so you cut hard. And 2 weeks later, half of it is brown and dead looking, and you're wondering what went wrong. What went wrong is shock. When you remove too much of a plant at once, you strip away a huge portion of the leaf surface, the part that's doing all the photosynthesis, all the energy production. The plant goes into stress. Some hedges recover. Many don't. The professional rule is never remove more than 1/3 of the total growth in a single session. If you got a badly overgrown hedge, you work it back over 2 seasons. Year 1, take back 1/3. Let it recover and thicken up. Year 2, take it back to where you want it. Slow, but the hedge stays healthy and full the entire way through. Patience is a professional skill. Don't let one afternoon of impatience cost you a hedge that took 10 years to grow. Tip 7. Always feed and water after every major trim. The trim is done. Most people pack up their tools and call it a job. Professionals do one more thing. And this is what keeps hedges looking dense, green, and healthy all season long. Cutting puts a plant under stress. You've just removed a significant amount of living tissue. The plant now has to redirect energy into healing those cuts and pushing out new growth. If you don't support it, that regrowth is slow, thin, and patchy. What I always do after a major trim: first, a good slow-release balanced fertilizer worked into the soil around the base. In spring, I'll lean towards something higher in nitrogen to push green leafy growth. In late summer, I use a lower nitrogen, higher potassium feed to harden the plant up before winter. Then water it in well, especially if it's been dry. The fertilizer needs moisture to activate, and a recently trimmed hedge in dry conditions is under double stress. This step takes 10 minutes, and the difference in how quickly and how thickly the hedge fills back in is remarkable. Feed it, water it, let it recover properly. So there you have it. 7 tips straight from a professional that will completely change the way you approach hedge trimming. And more importantly, change the results you get. Let me run through them one last time so they stick. 1. Clean and inspect your blades before you start. 2. Trim at the right time of year for your hedge type. 3. Always use a guide string for a straight line. 4. Taper your shape wider at the base, not the top. 5. Sides first, bottom to top, then the top last. 6. Never remove more than 1/3 at a time. And 7. Feed and water after every major trim. That's the full checklist. Print it out, save this video, write it on a sticky note, whatever works for you. Just use it. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these tips are you going to use first? Or was there one on the list that genuinely surprised you? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. If this video helped you, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content. And if you want to see more professional landscaping tips broken down exactly like this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the